All right. I welcome you to the interview. Uh, Today we are interviewing Team Traitor, and I would say are there Shadow and Nightmare Ninja. So, shall we start off with the first question, which is what even brought you guys to DDLC and what made you start modding?
Uh, hmm, I'll let Shuttle start. Yeah, I'll let Shuttle start since
Oh,
he's the
I
one
was
who.
actually gonna let you start, since mine might get a little more convoluted.
Okay. I guess I should start. I guess. Yeah. Okay. I guess I started. Well, I guess actually played DDLC when someone actually recommended it to me. Some friend of mine like, hey, you gotta play this, and I played it. He never gave me anything, any detail. But okay, it will be the spoiler. So yeah. As for modding, I got into that thanks to like when it first started. I think it's for when it first started becoming a thing. The birth of the modding scene of DDLC. That's when I actually started modding myself. And yeah, my first project I was gonna do, like before I went to with Welcome at least, is sorry about Sayori, but I'm not gonna go into detail because that mod never came out, so I can't really go into detail now. Then they never came out, so let me see when it. So I think the first mod I played that actually got me into modding at least was I guess Monica Officer story because like I was amazed about okay you can do this, so I kind of started modding things to that. I guess that's the most simplest way I can say it without explaining it too much. So yeah, that's how I started modding, got into DDLC. That's it. Yeah, pretty much that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And you, Shadow?
Right, so the way I got into DDLC was just because I was watching YouTuber Manly Badass Hero play DDLC, and he usually plays a lot of horror games, so I was just kind of here like, okay. Like, I'll watch this. So I usually watch whatever he does, and yeah, and then I started seeing, okay, that's why it's a horror game, and I'm losing my mind over a certain moment near the end of Act 1. And as for how I got into modding, it was kind of like at the genesis of the modding community, when I was just seeing a whole bunch of people uploading videos for mods, and I'm just like, where is all this coming from? And then I seeing like, okay, there's people actually like doing these things to the game.
All right.
I think the earliest mod I ever saw myself was the original Exit Music. As far as when I managed to get involved, it was around the time like after I played through, let's say, Blue Skies, and unfortunately this one got cancelled, this Spawned We Share. I was just kind of here like, considering I love writing, I kind of figure, I'd like to throw my hat in the ring. And, well, here we are now.
Yeah, that's a good way to get into the community, I would say. Way many people got into it. So, another question I wanted to ask you. Well, for Shadow, it will be a bit different from Ninja, because Shadow, I want to ask you on, I guess, why did you make Team Traitor if you are the original owner of it? And Shadow, I wanted to ask you why and how did you join it?
Okay, so then I am one of the founding members of Team Traitor, and it was meant to be with me at the lead. It was kind of formed between me and another person who went by the username of Bandit XD, and it was formed specifically in response to my wish to create a mod called Doki Doki October Horizon, which would have centered around Monica. So we eventually were able to get a few people together and say, I believe initially, even though we were having some bit of issues getting October Horizon off the ground, we ended up kind of branching out and doing a few other projects in between just to kind of get the hang of things. but I am the founder and lead developer of Team Traitor. Ninja eventually came on a few years after.
Ah, so Ninja, what about you? How did you end up in Team Traitor?
Oh, that I remember her pretty much seeing his. He did like a post on the DDLC modding Discord about asking for help for basically much a mod because the coder at the time was having computer issues, so they need someone that's kind of like a temporary coder to actually finish the mod. And I was pretty much answered the call, and I eventually joined the Discord, and then I started working on the mod. Well, the current coder at the time was busy trying to get its computer fixed. So that's how I eventually became a member. I didn't become a full-time member after a couple months after that, after the mod was released. Yeah, I believe.
All right.
So, yeah.
Okay, that's a cool way to become a part of Team Traitor. I also want to ask us, how old is even Team Traitor? Because you said that it's been like a few years that it's been on, right?
Yes, actually, even though it's kind of seems like we're like coming straight out of nowhere, Team Trader was officially formed near the end of October of 2020. I would actually say close to October 29th. That was more or less when I started having the idea for October Horizon, and kind of everything got starting or got set in motion from there.
All right, that's quite cool. So, another question I have for you is like, you guys made quite a few mods, and recently you started like remastering and or remaking some of them, and I wanted to ask you, what do you plan doing after remastering all of those mods and remaking them that you have planned? Because on Reddit you posted which mods will be, I think, remastered and remade, which is like Shutter Time Rewind that was released, and Night Nurse will get a remaster, if I remember correctly.
Yes, those are two of the main ones. As of right now, the only other mod we're planning to remaster was another one of our older projects, Captive Heart. It is currently called Captive Heart Amor Prohibido, which na- named after another song. But as far as that goes, we probably won't be remastering too many of our mods. We mainly did this because, at least with the original Shattered Time and Captive Heart, looking back, they were not quite my best work, and I even kind of feel like, man, I really wish I had known more, like everything I know now going into it. So then I just kind of figured I can do these stories so much more justice and really give them some better time to shine. So that kind of preemptively led to the plans to remaster at least those two. Night Nurse kind of came very randomly because while we were seeing about making one final update, I kind of realized, at the point we're going, we're kind of changing some details of the story. We're adding a few things, taking away others. It's it almost has like its own identity now, as opposed to just being a simple little update.
Yeah, that is
And
understandable.
yes, and after that, yes, I believe like that'll probably be or Captive Heart will probably be the last remaster we do, unless down the line we realize, oh, we could probably do this better. Like there's more story we can tell here. Otherwise, it would pretty much just be more of our other projects, that being like Welcome to the Literature Club Player, October Horizon, and any of the other mods in the Perfect World anthology to kind of keep moving forward with that.
Yeah, alright. So, another question I have, since, well, you mentioned the Perfect World anthology, and what I wanted to ask is basically, uh, does it all have like a linear story that it's all trying to tell, or is it just loosely connected, or something in between?
That I can't say too much on since it would be spoilery. What I will say is there is a sequence of events, and it does kind of take place in, well, a sequential order. Did make a timeline of at least the order of how they go.
Oh yes, that timeline is
So,
on Reddit that I saw.
mhm. Yes, and so one thing I can say is each of these mods has like a piece to a larger story. And likewise, even though they each take place in their own little universe, they are connected through these sequential events.
Yeah, so it's like the lore and like world building is connected, but those individual stories are just their own isolated things, if I understand.
Right. Yeah, so you don't necessarily need to play Night Nurse to understand Forlorn Heart and vice versa. Although it would be helpful just in case. And unless stated otherwise, none of the mods have like any direct follow-ups. At one point, I did think of making a follow-up to Captive Heart, but those plans were scrapped. And if I do decide to revisit the idea, then I would try to make sure everyone knows, hey, this is a follow-up to Captive Heart. So, if you want to play that, you will most likely have to play the original to understand, since those characters were already established in that story.
Yeah, alright. So, this is a question that a community member asked, and that is basically why did some mods or a mod get removed? That is at least their question, so do bring us some insight if actually something has been removed, and if yes, why.
Was kind of hoping no one would notice that, but so at least one of the very first mods that I ever made with our former coder was one called Tainted Love. It was basically kind of a love triangle story between the characters of Monica and Cordanola, since we both liked the design of that OC at the time. And so the main idea behind it was to kind of show what happens if something like love, that's usually very pure and innocent, were to be corrupted by jealousy, anger, envy. And throughout the story, you kind of get to spend time with these well, one of the girls, or both of them if you want to be a player. And essentially, it was just kind of there to show that the whole idea of, well, sometimes love does not always end very well. Now, when it came out, it kind of seemed that not a lot of people really liked that. So, eventually, since a lot of people made their opinions loud and clear, I did opt to just simply remove Tainted Love. And there were plans for a remake of that one, but those were ultimately scrapped as well.
Alright. Well, thank you for answering that. Now I have a bit more, well, you could say, personal question, and that is there like anything in your life that influenced your like mod making or any story making? Like any personal event that influenced it?
Or either of us?
Yeah, sure. It can be either of you or just one of you. It
Okay, since I'm doing a lot of talking here, and I definitely
Mm.
don't want to run the whole show, so...
So we could both answer this one. Yeah, but since
Okay,
yeah,
well, at least in that case, you go ahead and go first.
well, when it comes to writing, I think I started writing like fanfiction back a couple of years ago, so I kind of loved it. So and also kind of love writing these characters. I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I started writing mods, my own mods, because I just love writing about these characters, which is a simple answer, I know, but that's what I can actually say about it. So, like I said, my favorite character is Sayori, so I decided to write about her at first. So that's a simple way I can say that without, you know. So that's my answer.
All right. And you, Shadow?
Mm.
Mine goes a little deeper than that. I've actually had quite a love of writing ever since, like, my elementary or primary school days.
Mm.
In fact, I recently ran into one of, well, or not ran, I got together with one of my friends from high school, and he even told me how he did remember that I was a huge into, excuse me, and was very huge into world building and writing characters. Once he found out that I was kind of writing stories for visual novel type projects. And then it's combined with the fact that everything I write, I always put a bit of myself into. It kind of just makes it a little more personal that way. For example, I suppose one of the major events that actually kicked off the whole process of writing October Horizon was I wanted to dedicate it to someone that meant a lot to me. Unfortunately, she passed away 2 years ago, and we kind of had a rough falling out. And in a sense, she was kind of like my Monica, the whole idea of she's totally out of my league. She'll never know that I'm alive. I don't think I can ever talk to her. Or at least that kind of premise I initially thought of with the original DDLC until the end of Act 1 when it off the rails and everything was carte blanche first class.
Yeah.
So, I guess you can say that my love of writing at a young age combined with some real life experiences did kind of help shape my writing style, and oftentimes I do pay tribute to some of these people in my writing. Whether it kind of be my own mother through how I write MC's mother. Unfortunately, she passed away in 2017. My friend Maggie, who I unfortunately have not spoken to since 2016, but she was a lot like my Sayori. She was usually very happy and full of energy, but she also did deal with a lot of depression as well, and I always felt bad that there was not much I can do. And then, of course, finally, the person that inspired October Horizon, and in a sense, how I write Monica, who went by the name of Darlene.
Yeah, that is a nice way to pay homage to your loved ones in your own work.
Yes, at least. Well, I can't say much for Maggie since I don't know what exactly happened with her, but at the very least, it's almost like my way of trying to keep the memory of those people alive, and of course, as you said, pay homage to them.
Yeah, that is a nice thing to hear. Now, on to a slightly different note. I wanted to ask you, mostly about Team Traitor. Will Team Traitor stick to future DDLC mods, or do they plan to like branch out on other projects as well?
For the most part, we do have plans for future mods. In fact, I believe, given the slate we have at least possibly the next 2 years planned, and between Ninja and I, we're always coming up with different ideas for mods. Sometimes to the point where we're here. Okay, we need to figure out. Okay, I know we have this idea. I know it sounds good, but what can we do with it? Or can we do anything with it? which sometimes ends with said projects being shelved until we decide to revisit it. As for original projects, though, we have considered that, and in fact, I think Ninja can speak more to an original project that he had in mind that, should everything go well, you
Mm,
may see it releasing under the Team Traitor name.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I pretty much posted that original project, or at least a concept of it on the Team Trader YouTube channel that you can find on. It's yeah. So I can't go into much detail about it because don't want to spoil too much. But it centers around two characters, Molly and Gloria, which are I can't go into detail about their story. So that's pretty much the only original project we have other than mods. Yeah.
Alright, that does sound intriguing. Now, lads, I do want to ask you one final question before we put this interview to rest, and that is there like anything you would like to say to the community, which you have made content for all these years?
The
Okay.
most I can say, I'll pretty much start with this one, is that be creative, be make the mods you want, and continue playing them or making them pretty much on. And if pretty much that's all I can say. Sorry, I'm pretty much nervous about this, so sorry my answers are very short and like that. So I guess that's my answer on that one. So yeah.
Meanwhile, I tend to ramble on and on when I get nervous. As for me, as first, I would just like to say that, well, to the members of the community, I would like to thank you all for creating such a community where we are able to join together and essentially be united under one roof under our desire to tell more stories about these characters and even share our excuse me, share the same sort of fandom and our enjoyment of these characters. And I know I've seen some people say, oh well, I relate a lot to Sayori because this and that. And like me personally, I relate most to Yuri since, especially my early high school years, like I've been there. Thankfully, I likewise embraced my own weirdness like she did, and it's kind of what helped get me here now. And as for anyone else thinking of getting into creating, all I can say is just do it. You never know unless you try. Otherwise, you might just be sitting here years later thinking, man, I really should have done that. Why didn't I do it? It might seem kind of scary at first. To this day, October Horizon is still having quite an uphill battle, but at least I've loved the journey that we've gone on, where it's gotten us to so far, how at least the both of us have grown since we began. And it really only happened because well, before he joined Team Traitor, I can't totally speak for him, but at least with me, it only happened because I did decide, you know what? I love the story of these mods, and I feel like I could probably try doing something like that. So it might be scary, it might seem difficult, but go ahead and at least try. If you're a writer, write whatever you can, even if it seems like a bunch of mindless drivel right now. You can always go back and fix it later. It's not like you're married to the words on the page, and if you're coding, well, who knows, you can probably get and refine your process here. So all I can say is just get out there and try, otherwise you never know what you might be capable of. And yeah, sorry if my answer sounds kind of sappy and sentimental, but well, what can I say? I do have a passion for creating and art and artwork, I guess you could say.
Alright, that was a nice way to answer from both of you. I thank you both for your time today, as this concludes our interview. So I believe that we will see each other in the community later on, and I bid you both farewell.
Bye.
Thank you, and pleasure speaking
Yes.
with you.
Mm-hmm.
Take care, all.
See ya.